on a beautiful, and I would have to say absolutely beautiful June 17th in the tri-state area. It is time for another episode of the J&B Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Brandon Schwartz, and your other host from home near the Jersey Shore, the great John Giordano. John, welcome to the show. How are you?
Good, Brandon. Very pleasant good afternoon to you on this hot June day before Father's Day.
Yeah, it is an absolutely brutal day. I went out a little earlier and it was absolutely brutal, 90 degrees. But you know what? Summer is here, man. We're ready to rock with the summer, the beach, and that will start us off with let's talk about our Yankees and Mets because the Yankees and the Mets are off to some of the best starts in franchise history. I mean, the Yankees they're 47 and 16, and the Mets, who are also up there too, are having an outstanding start. I mean, they really are. I mean, they're 42 and 23. They're right behind the Yankees
Best
and
record in the NL.
best record in the NL. So I'm very excited to see, can these two teams continue like this for the rest of the season and possibly end up in a World Series, Subway Series. That would be awesome, right?
Yes, sir.
That would be really cool. That would be really cool. So
There are only three teams with 40 wins right now. And you know who two of them are?
the Yankees and the Mets.
Yep, and you know who the other one is?
Let's take a look at the standings.
Take a guess.
The other one is the San Diego Padres.
Slam Diego.
The Slam Diego. Good for San Diego. I mean, listen, I love the city. I love the franchise. I think they have a great thing going on there with Tatis, even Voit coming to the team.
Gotta remember,
Who's
they
a
have no Tatis,
when he comes back,
which probably won't be till the end of next month.
yeah, but he's still some player.
You have Machado on that big deal.
Got Machado on that big deal. You got Tatis who will
Hosmer.
come back. Hosmer. Um, what about other players like Will Myers?
He's injured, so you have Nomar Mazara, former top prospect, filling in.
Any word on when Myers was going to return?
Have to look. But they are getting great production out of Jurickson Profar.
Jurickson Profar is an interesting player. I really like. I always liked him. I thought he was always a very talented player who's had success on the teams he's been on.
Yeah, I think the Rangers are still waiting on him.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But John, I mean the Yankees. I mean, listen, and I remember, and listen, I'm proving you wrong here because you said at the beginning of the season that the Yankees had an easy schedule and that it's going to get harder for them. But look at this: we just sweep the Rays. We sweep the Rays, and it made it look easy. I mean, they sweep the Rays at home, and listen, these are, if you want to talk about hard teams to beat, these are the hard teams to beat, and we're ending up beating these teams, like no tomorrow. So I'm very confident that the Yankees have it in for all these teams. I really do. I think they could actually, the only team I'm a little concerned about is the Astros because we are playing them next week. We'll be there on the 24th.
With trash cans ready.
Yeah, for trash cans. We'll have the trash cans ready, and we get a Nestor Cortez T-shirt, which is great. So, but then they go to Houston too. Then they go to Houston to play the Astros in Houston. It's going to be a good series. It really is. It's going to be an interesting series. I'm excited for it. I'm not going to lie. I am excited for it. I'm excited, because these two teams are really good. The Astros are, I mean, the 39-24, they're really good too. First in their division, and they're ahead by a wide margin.
Well,
9 games ahead of the.
Fell apart.
I mean, what happened to the Angels? I mean, they just collapsed.
Yep.
And this has happened to them in recent years too.
Yep. There's no update on Will Myers, by the way.
No update on Will Myers. Well, he comes back, that's a good thing because he's a good hitter, and I always liked Will Myers. I always did.
Yeah.
But that's good. I mean, Will Myers could bring up, he could bring you 20, 25, maybe 30 home runs for a season.
Enough of your Yankees, though, Brandon. I have a little something for you on my Mets.
Okay, John, go on to the Mets. Let me hear this nonsense.
So on May 18th, the day Max Scherzer got hurt, they were 25-14 with a 6-game lead in the National League East. Since they have gone 17-9 and seen their lead only shrink a game and a half to 4.5. And that's considering they just completed a 26-game stretch that they played St. Louis, the Giants, Dodgers, Padres, Angels, and Brewers.
Interesting. That's a good fun fact, John.
That's a very tough schedule right there, considering you'll have your three best pitchers.
Yeah, I find that very interesting.
And no update on Tylor Megill after he left last night's game.
No update on Megill.
Nope. It was shoulder problems when he left, but they have not given an update as of this time.
Interesting. Well, listen, I hope the best for I hope the best for the Mets. I hope that you get Scherzer back healthy and Megill back, and DeGrom healthy. So listen, I wish you the best, and I hope that you continue your success throughout the season. So
well,
good luck
big
to you
news
guys.
at Met camp today, though.
What's the big news, John?
That Scherzer is probably heading for a rehab assignment starting Tuesday.
Well, that's good.
And he could be back as early as next weekend against the Marlins.
That's good. That's interesting because there are reports going around also that he would be back at the end of July. Now, that's a lot different than coming back next week.
Yep.
You see that? I mean, I don't know what those people. I guess they were just the latest they were saying at the end of July. But listen, you get him back now, that'd be great. I mean,
yep.
You have him come back for for the end of June, July 4th weekend. I mean, listen, that'd be great. That would be an awesome return if he could come back next week. I would be glad if he did.
Speaking of the Marlins, though, tonight, unbelievably, is the first time the Mets are playing them all year. It's June 17th, and they have yet to play them.
Met Marlins are fun. That's a good time. You get all the it's in Miami, right?
This weekend's at home.
It's at home, and then next week is in Miami.
Yep, 4 games this weekend at City, 3 games next weekend in Miami.
So what you do? You have all the New Yorkers flocking down to Lone Depot, and then you have them seeing the Mets play the Marlins there, which is great. That's what's great about the Met Marlins games is because you have all the Met fans from here flock down to South Beach and see the Met Marlins at the Lone Depot, which is a great time for a lot of people. So
and they're on your favorite streaming service next Sunday, Peacock.
Oh my God, it's gonna be on Peacock.
Yep, 12 o'clock next Sunday.
Dude, I don't understand where the heck they came out of using Peacock as a streaming service for I understand if you had it on Yes also.
Yeah.
But I don't understand it took me literally an hour, 40 minutes to find the game against the Tigers. I don't what has happened in this world where streaming services it's a good thing, I guess, but there's also a point where you don't want it to take away your time from watching it on regular network television. That's the thing I'm a little concerned. I'm a little concerned that in the future, we're not going to be able to have, I'm worried that the Yes Network will be gone. MSG Network will be gone. Because these streaming services are going to take over every aspect of professional sports. And I hope I am wrong with that. I hope I am wrong. Please, God, hope I'm wrong because I love the MSG Network. I love the way they work. I love MSG Network's routine. I love how they operate every game. I love the Yes Network's routine. So listen, you hope that the streaming services don't take over everything, but you hope that they succeed. That's my point.
And you even have the NFL going on Amazon for their Thursday night games this year.
See, that I could see because That's NFL could be the one sport where I could see, streaming services take over because it's a weekly thing, and it's not, you know, and it's a nationwide, everybody there's a NFL has the most fans from all over the country, so that would make sense from a standpoint of that. I agree with you on that, and I think Amazon will make a good revenue using for NFL services.
And you have the great Al Michaels calling those games.
Oh, Al Michaels is calling those games.
He left
So
NBC.
right. So it's a lot of people, and it's a new era now. A lot of people are leaving. Like you had Joe Buck leave the Fox. You had, uh, Matt Vasgersian leave. Didn't he leave somewhere?
I think he still worked for MLB, but he's also been doing some Angel games. But he left
Yeah. So
ESPN.
we're in a new era now where these guys are changing. Like the one that's going to be interesting to get used to is, I think, going to be the Joe Buck leaving Fox, because in the World Series this year,
Yep.
it's going to be weird not hearing his voice,
You have
in a
Joe
pivotal
Davis
game.
doing it.
And I like Joe Davis. I think he's got a good voice for the game, but there's really nothing like Joe Buck doing a World Series game. So we're just
Ironically,
gonna have to get used to it.
he'll get the All-Star game at the stadium he calls most of his games, the Dodgers.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That would be cool, my man.
He's an interesting guy. I enjoy listening to Joe Davis.
Yes, Joe Davis is an interesting guy. I like him a lot. He really is cool.
Here's your Daily Show trivia question, Brandon. You ready?
Ding ding, Daily Show trivia. Here we go.
In the Mets' history against the Marlins, who's the only pitcher in their history to go a complete game one-hit shutout?
Say that one more time, John. I didn't hear it right.
For the Mets against the Marlins, who's the only pitcher for them to go a complete game one-hitter?
Complete game one hitter.
It's not who you would think of.
On the Mets?
Yep. They've been playing for about 30 years, and only one Met pitcher is doing a one-hit shutout.
McGill?
Nope. He has a
Matt
very
Scherzer?
infamous moment in Mets history.
DeGrom?
Nope.
I don't know. I give up. What's the answer?
Mets legend Aaron Heilman.
Who?
Aaron Heilman, the man who famously gave up Yair Molina's Game 7 home run.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know the answer. I'm sorry.
He came up
Once
as
again,
a
I get it
starter.
wrong. Gotcha. I'm so sorry I didn't get the answer. But interesting. It makes sense. I mean, listen, I was a big home run that he gave up. So
Yep, back in the day. Crushing
when was
10-year-old me's heart.
Yeah. But yeah, I think you know it's good to look back at those moments, in baseball history, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
But John, I wanna get to you about last night's NBA Finals.
Si, senor.
So we had a listen. A lot of people predicted Golden State in 7, but it ended up being Golden State in 6. Were you surprised that Golden State won last night, or were you expecting Boston to come back and win that game and head back to the Bay Area for a Game 7?
At that point, I thought it was going to be Warriors winning last night.
Yeah, I mean by halftime, we had a feeling that they would end up winning the game.
Yeah.
But good for the Warriors. I mean, listen, we all thought last year when they had the draft lottery, when they got the first pick, that they were done. That they were never going to be the same Warriors that we've seen them in the past. But we were wrong. They have, and listen, I think they're still a dynasty, but they change. I think Klay Thompson is not the same player he has been before the pre-injury era. I think he's still a good player, but I don't think he's the same player as he was before he got injured. But the guy who has really picked it up, and a guy who came out of the draft in 2000, I believe it was 2013, Andrew Wiggins. Everyone thought he was going to be a great player, and the first 6 years of his career, nobody really thought and they even compare. I remember they even compared him to LeBron James, but that ended up not being true. But he didn't have the first 6 years. He wasn't great. But then all of a sudden he gets a trade to the Golden State Warriors. Okay, comes to the Golden State Warriors and works well with Steph Curry and absolutely shines throughout the season. Becomes a star in the finals. I mean, he just lit up the finals. I mean, he's just turned into a star in the playoffs, and he has. So good for him.
Hmm.
All of a sudden, I feel like he kind of came out of nowhere and became a great player. Not a great player, but he's a solid playoff player, and he's turned back to, and he ended up getting a ring. So good for him. It's good for him. So I think I like Wiggins. I thought he was a good player in Kansas. I thought he actually had a good run with them. He had very high expectations going into his NBA draft. So I'm excited for the Warriors. I'm glad for them. Going into next year, it's going to be interesting watching them again as these other teams look to rebuild. And John, next week you're going to be at the NBA draft, correct?
Correct, at the Barclays Center next Thursday night.
Who do you think's going number one?
I haven't paid that much attention to prospects.
So the first pick goes to who?
Orlando.
The first pick? The Orlando Magic have the first pick. So I really think Banchero is going to go in one. I think Banchero is going to go one, and I hope that he actually goes one because he had a very good run with Duke. I think he was coached well under Coach K. Everybody liked him, so I wouldn't not be surprised if he went one. Now the big question is going to be, John, is what are the New York Knicks going to do with their 11th pick? What are the New York Knicks going to do with their 11th pick? Everybody wants to know what the New York Knicks are going to do.
They're probably going to mess it up somehow.
Well, let's try not to do that this time. I mean, we've had. Now, I'm not saying that the 11th pick. The 11th pick, whether it's the 11th pick or the second round pick, it could still be very good. Now, I'm very confident that the pick we get, is going to work well with this team. Now, Nick, there's people saying that Johnny Davis might end up being a pick that the Knicks could get. I think he would be a good pick. Johnny Davis is a solid. He was a solid player in college. I think he's got the that mentality, like that guard mentality that the Knicks need. So I wouldn't be surprised if he did that. But John, what do you think? Do you think the Knicks should? How important do you think the Knicks need to be in this draft? Like, do you think the Knicks have to go out in this draft and work and just do the best they can? How do you think they need to be in this draft?
They have to attempt to be better than they have in the past. How about that?
I totally agree. I mean, listen, I see there was a draft in 2015. The fans were booing Porzingis. They did not like the Porzingis draft pick at all. But I think the Porzingis pick was good for the New York Knicks. I think because it actually ended up being a starting point, and I think a starting point for them. Because what happened is that Porzingis was traded was picked by the Knicks. Then he had a good run with the Knicks. Then all of a sudden he wants to trade out of. He gets the injury. Then he asked for a trade to the Dallas. They trade him to the Dallas Mavericks, and that was the point where they gave up a load of money, and then the Knicks rebuilded. So I think the Porzingis pick was actually a smart pick for the New York Knicks, as it led to an interesting future for them. So I am glad that Kristaps Porzingis was drafted by the New York Knicks back in 2015. I thought he was a very good pick for them. I think he brought in a lot of revenue to the Knicks. I mean, people were excited, with his unique ability, his 7'2" height, his wingspan. So I'm very glad that the Knicks got him. But I think trading him also helped the Knicks rebuild and get players like get him a draft lottery, RJ Barrett, which is great. The Knicks have just gotten a lot better in terms of what they're doing with their roster. So I'm very excited to see what the New York Knicks are going to do in this year's NBA draft. As John, you're going to be at the NBA draft. So you got to give me some inside info of what's going on there. What the fan reaction is going to be when the Knicks pick their 11th pick. You got to give me some inside info because you're going to be live there at the Barclays Center with the inside info. So yeah, you got to give me some background information of what's going on there.
Maybe you'll get a recording when the Knicks pick.
Yeah, you should definitely record. Yeah, when you're there, definitely record the 11th pick for me, and the other if the Knicks have other picks, record that too.
Well, we know the fans like Adam Silver better than they like Roger Goodell, so it won't be as bad.
Yeah, I mean, I love Adam Silver. I think Adam Silver is my favorite commissioner in all of professional sports. I'm not. I like the other commissioners, but I think there's something about Adam Silver that makes him unique. I think he's very good at coming up with new ideas, innovating new techniques. Uh, you know, and I'll give you an example. When COVID happened, they came up with Adam Silver was the first guy to shut down everything. He's not just a sports guy. He's a guy that looks out for the country as a whole. He's a smart man. He's a smart guy. He was trained well under David Stern. Rest in peace, David Stern. Trained well under him. So I'm very glad that Adam Silver is our commissioner of the NBA. I think he's done a terrific job, especially with the NBA bubble in 2020. I mean, that was a fantastic idea. It worked out perfectly. And then the NBA has just turned out to be a global product that everybody likes. So I'm really glad that, the basketball, the NBA now is a great marketing product.
You have to remember he came into a tough situation in his first year that he had to ban Donald Sterling.
Yeah, about that Donald Sterling incident, I mean, that was a tough situation for him. But you know what it is? I think there's a point where, you have to kind of like let it go.
Well, yeah, his first couple of months on the job.
Yeah, and I remember that day. And I'm gonna try. I've been watching stuff about the Donald Sterling incident back in, what was it, 2014?
2014, 2015.
That was an interesting span of events that went on. I mean, what really was interesting was the recordings. Did you hear the recordings of what he said?
I think so. I actually did include it in the college project.
That was interesting, right? Because you were in college when this happened.
Yep. The topic was how America's changed. Did some on racism.
Yeah, and this crazy event. Now, I'm starting to think that maybe the Donald Sterling incident was the start of racism in our country. And I'm not trying to turn this into a political thing, but I feel like after that happened, a lot of racial problems have gone on in our country. I mean, when something like Donald Sterling happens in a major sporting, organization like the LA Clippers, that could cause a lot of controversy and uprising with a lot of people. So I think Silver did the right thing. Would I have banned him for life? No, I would not. I would have banned him for maybe 5-10 years and then bring him back.
You got to teach the guy a lesson.
Teach the guy a lesson. I don't think I would have banned him for life. I don't think I would have banned him for life. I think I would have banned him for maybe 5 years.
Definitely banning people for life is a little harsh. Look at Pete Rose now.
That's the one guy that you feel bad for. I mean, and it just tells you, look right now. In this day and age. Betting is now legal in a lot of states.
Yep.
Not every state, but a lot of states you can bet now. So this is I feel like this is a slap in the face to Pete Rose saying, listen, even though we legalize sports betting, we still don't want you back. Come on now. Pete Rose was
the one person that suspension makes sense though is that guy on the Falcons who got suspended for this year.
Who was that?
I think it was Ridley. He got banned for this year because he was betting on multiple games during the season.
Well, let me ask you this: is there a statement in the contract saying a player cannot bet on his own team?
Well, if you're an active player, why would you want to be using your salary to bet?
Well, I mean, there's a point where you're saying, listen, if I bet $5, that's a lot. I make all this money. What is $5 going to do?
I think he actually stepped away from the game at the point that he was betting.
What player are you talking about again?
I believe it was Calvin Ridley.
Calvin Ridley.
He's,
I heard the name. I didn't know the story that well.
I'm looking it up as we speak.
Calvin Ridley.
But of course, while we're doing this, I have to give a shout out to my good friend Kevin Meller.
Shout out to Kevin Meller.
Can't wait to see you in
also,
September.
Shout out to Doug Saravo, our producer.
Yes, we are big fans of Douglas.
But Calvin Ridley, let me see. How much
I believe that.
Yeah, so it said he gambled about $1,500, if I'm seeing this right. Now listen, he's made so much money. I mean, what is $1,500,
Yeah.
Oh, but then it says gambling could have ended up costing him $11 million. Well, that's a big difference. But listen, the bottom line is that betting has just become a global. It's just become it's a big part of sports now. Everybody's doing it. I've done it. You've done it. We've all done it. It's not. Listen, I'm a guy who believes that. Listen, I don't need sports betting to like sports. A lot of people like sports now because they can bet. That's just the way it is. And I don't like that theory. I think you should like sports because you like sports and you like how the game is played. I don't think you should like sports based on financial purposes. I think sports is based on your passion and love for it. And that's why a lot of states didn't want to legalize it, because they're worried that fans are going to like it for reasons that they shouldn't. So that's why New York and New Jersey were very, when they first started this, they were very concerned that they would take away the moral purpose of sports. But you know what? It ended up bringing in so much revenue for these teams and revenue for these betting companies that it has turned into a global product.
So much that some teams have sports books located right near their stadium.
Yeah, I mean, every stadium you go to, there's a sports. I mean, there's a betting location right anywhere you go. I go to AC a few weeks ago and I see sports betting takes over everything. It really has, and I like the sports betting location. I think they're comfortable. They're good, nice chairs. You relax, you sit down. But I don't need to spend all my hard work money on betting on something I love. That's pretty much how you say it. I don't need to spend all my money on loving sports because I love sports without actually betting on it. And I know you, John, you love the game the way it is.
Yep.
And there are people I know of that don't like sports, but they bet on it just so they can make money.
Yep.
I mean, I don't really know anybody. Actually, I'm sorry, I don't know anybody like that. But there are people that like sports because they bet on it, and they're making money off of it. And there's a difference whether you do that or actually like the game. Now, me and you, I know we like the game. We actually like the game because it's the way it's played. But
you like to go sit there, enjoy the game for a few hours.
Yeah, and we had we've gone to about 7-8 games. What, 6 or 7 games this year already?
Something like that. Between Mets, Yankees, Phillies, we're gonna be in Seattle.
And we've enjoyed the game. We've enjoyed the love for the game. We really have.
Even with our jokes about our great friend Tony, shout out Tony Balanu.
Shout out to Tony.
Hopefully you find what you've been searching for the last year.
Tony's wife.
Yes.
But dude, I'm so psyched for next Friday, man. It's gonna be a fun time.
There's gonna be a lot of Astros haters in the crowd.
Oh, you bet your chickens I do. I will hear that all day about the trash cans, man. It's gonna be a lot of trash can talk next Friday.
Even though a lot of that team's now gone, now you have only, I think, starring players are Altuve and Bregman. Actually, and Gurriel.
Gurriel. Interesting.
He's another one.
So when we come back, what was that?
I actually like Yuli Gurriel. He's a good player.
He is a good player. He's a good power hitter too.
His brother's good.
Oh yeah, he is good.
Lourdes.
But yeah, when we come back from a commercial break, we're gonna give our final thoughts. We're gonna just wrap it up for you guys, and we're going to tell you about an event coming up that we're going to be covering.
Antetokounmpo.
Came out of nowhere. Well, thanks to Doug for that production of our first ever commercial.
Good job, Doug.
Thank you, Doug, for your help with that. So, based on that commercial, we will be doing before we head off to the Bronx for a great Astros Yankees weekend matchup. We're going to do an NBA draft recap show, and John's going to know a lot more than I am because he will be actually at the draft on the 23rd, which is a Thursday. So John will be there, and I'm glad you're going because it is going to be awesome to hear the inside information that is going on.
Shout out to my cousin for the great idea. Shout out to Giacomo.
Shout out to Giacomo. Good job, buddy. But I hope you guys have a great time. Shout out to Kevin Bach. Hey, listen, maybe let's hope that maybe by next Friday we can have maybe some guests on the show that will talk, about the NBA draft, because now that the finals are over, it's now about the NBA draft. So all eyes are on the NBA draft now, and then after the NBA draft, Summer League.
Besides, when you have the Stanley Cup Finals going on right now.
You got the Stanley Cup Finals going now. A lot of people tuned out of it because the Rangers left. The Rangers were eliminated.
You and your fake fandom.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not gonna lie. I like the Rangers, but I never really follow them as much as the Knicks. But everybody tuned into the Rangers, and it was a good run. It was fun to watch. I mean, it was fun for the fans. So listen, good for them. And hopefully next year they'll make another run again. Johnny.
We hope all the locals do good. Even though football, I'm not too sure about.
Football, we're not too sure about. Now, but you know what, John? I'm thinking, when we have our football season, we should do a show every Friday to get ready for the football games on Sunday. Because what I'm thinking we could do is, I know we were just having a whole debate about talk about why sports betting, is taking over everybody's fandom and stuff. But I think for NFL, we should give our picks for the week for those games on Sundays. Like give our prediction. And I'm thinking we could get Doug, because Doug, loves NFL. Maybe we could have Doug on the show. He could be part of this.
Especially if we go to Jacksonville.
Especially we're trying to plan a Jacksonville trip to see the Giants this year. But I also want to make a quick announcement before we head on out. We've been doing the show for a couple of weeks now. We really want to thank our sponsor, Saravo Broadcasting, for all your help in terms of, helping with the software, setting up the show, and everything you've done. So thank you to Saravo Broadcasting for all your help, and we hope that we can continue our partnership with you for the next couple of years. So thank you so much, Saravo Broadcasting, for all your help. So, John, any thoughts before we head on out today?
It's going to be an interesting weekend with some of these baseball matchups. Phillies are playing a doubleheader in D.C. The Braves are on a 14-game winning streak. Mets playing the Marlins.
Mets are playing the Marlins.
Yep.
Yeah, it's gonna. The Marlins are actually not as bad as I thought they would be. I mean, they're only 28-33. I mean, 12 games out of first place, but I mean, you never know. Maybe a wild card is a possibility for them.
Well, you have to see. Alcantara's going on Sunday.
Yeah.
The thing is, they don't have Pablo Lopez pitching right now.
Pablo Lopez.
He took a liner off the wrist last week. He was scratched from Wednesday, and they're not sure if he's pitching tonight.
Right. But John, I got to say, this was a great show. I really thank you for coming on as always. But
yes.
Again, I want you to remember one thing, John, and this is the point I want to make before we leave today.
What is it, Beach Boy?
Should we bring a trash can to next Friday's game?
I'll buy you that costume on Amazon, and you can wear it during the game. How about that? It's only $50.
I think I'm gonna bring it. But listen, it's gonna be a fun matchup between the Yankees and the Astros next weekend. It's also gonna be a fun matchup. John, we're going to we were planning to go to a Met game, right?
But now we're going to Phillies Cardinals.
But now we're going to Philly Cardinals in Philly.
Yep,
John, it was a pleasure.
It was.
Yeah. It was a pleasure having you on the show today. Thank you for everything, Johnny. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk soon, John.
Tell your dad Happy Father's Day.
Oh, and Happy Father's Day to your dad, too. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. And thank you all for tuning into the J&B Sports Podcast. We'll see you next Friday for this special NBA recap show on the StreamYard Podcast.